Have you ever been watching a game or listening to friends talk about one and you wanted to jump into the conversation in English, but you just felt like you didn't have the words? Well, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to break down the language of sports from these little everyday phrases to the crucial verbs you need to really sound like you know your stuff. Honestly, it's one of the best ways to connect with people and really get a feel for English-speaking culture.
All right, so here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to look at how sports talk has snuck its way into our daily English. You'll be surprised. Then we'll get into what I call the 3 magic verbs. These are the foundation for talking about any sport. After that, we'll take our new skills for a test drive and talk like a football pro. We'll expand out to the huge world of sports in general, and then, and this is the important part, we'll wrap up with your very own training plan to keep getting better.
Okay, let's kick things off with something that I find totally fascinating. How much sports language is part of everyday English? Seriously, you've probably used some of these phrases without even realizing where they come from. We're going to use baseball as our first example to see just how deep these roots go. Knowing this stuff doesn't just add vocabulary, it gives you a much richer understanding of the language. So let's start with an absolute classic, the home run. In the game of baseball, this is the best thing a batter can do. It's that perfect, powerful hit where the ball flies out of the park and the player gets to jog around all 4 bases to score a point. It's a huge, celebratory moment of absolute success. No question about it. But here's where it gets really interesting. Off the field, if your boss tells you you hit a home run with that project, what they're saying is you absolutely nailed it. It was a massive, unqualified success. See? The powerful, clear imagery from sports makes for these perfect metaphors that we use all the time in our careers and daily lives. It's a fantastic shortcut for communication. Now that you see how sports language is everywhere, let's get down to the fundamentals. This next part is absolutely key. If you can master just 3 simple verbs, play, go, and do, you'll be able to talk about pretty much any sport and sound completely natural. Seriously, getting these 3 right is a total game changer for your confidence and fluency. Okay, so our first magic verb is play. This is your go-to for most team sports and competitive games. The rule of thumb here is pretty simple. If you're competing against another person or another team and there's a ball or something like a puck or a shuttlecock that you're hitting back and forth, then you almost always play it. For example, you'd say you play football with your friends on the weekend, or you play basketball down at the local court. The same goes for racket sports like badminton or bat and ball games like baseball. In every single one of these, you're competing against an opponent, usually with a specific piece of equipment. Simple, right? All right, next up we have the verb go. Now here's a fantastic little trick for this one. Just look for activities that end in ing. These are often things you do by yourself, where the focus is more on the continuous action itself, not so much on a head-to-head competition happening in that exact moment. So for instance, you go swimming in the ocean, you go jogging in the park, or if you're lucky, you go skiing in the mountains. It also works for things like fishing and cycling. You see the pattern? That ing ending is your clue. And think about it, you'd never say I play swimming, would you? It just sounds wrong to a native speaker. That's your brain telling you to use go. And our third and final verb is do. This one is generally for individual activities, exercises, and especially martial arts. The best way to think about do is for practices or disciplines. The focus is all on your personal performance, your form, and improving yourself, rather than beating a team or hitting a ball. This is exactly why we say you do yoga to work on your flexibility, or a child does gymnastics. You're performing a specific discipline or a set of actions. The rule really clicks when you think about it. You do karate as a martial art. You don't play karate. It just makes sense, right? Okay, we've got our 3 key verbs down. Now, let's have some fun and put them into practice. We're going to dive into the language of the world's most popular sport, football, or as it's known in some places, soccer. Just learning a couple of these specific terms will make you sound like you've been watching for years. Let's start with a really clever move that's all about skill and, let's be honest, a little bit of cheekiness. It's called a nutmeg. This is when a player with the ball cleverly pushes it right between a defender's open legs, then runs around them to get it back. Oh, it's such a slick move. It makes the crowd go wild and, well, it leaves the defender feeling a little bit silly. All right, now let's talk strategy. You might hear commentators talk about a team deciding to park the bus. This describes a super defensive tactic.
Imagine a team is winning by just one goal, with only a few minutes left. They'll pull almost every player back to defend, making it nearly impossible for the other team to score. It's like they've literally driven a giant bus and parked it right in front of their goal. Now, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you have the pure agony of what's called a sitter. A sitter is a chance to score that is so incredibly easy it seems possible to miss, and yet somehow the player does. They call it a sitter because the opportunity is so perfect, you could practically sit down and just tap the ball into the net. Ugh, it's a heartbreaking moment for any player and their fans. But when a player does score, especially when it's a fantastic goal, you'll often hear that passionate cry from the commentators, "back of the net." It is such a classic, energetic phrase that just perfectly captures the explosion of excitement when the ball hits that net. It's simple, it's powerful, and it's pure joy. So now you have these amazing tools, right? You've got the everyday idioms, and you have our 3 magic verbs. An entire world of sports is now open to you. You are totally equipped to go beyond just the basics. So let's take a quick tour through just some of the many, many sports you can now talk about with real confidence. Just look at this incredible mix. You've got team sports that you play, like American football and basketball, and then you have individual disciplines that you do, like archery and athletics. Try playing our rules right now. You play cricket because it's a team competing with the ball, but you do athletics. See how it starts to feel natural? And the list just keeps going. The variety is amazing. We've got those activities that end in ing, which of course you go, like cycling and rowing. Then you have individual skills and martial arts that you do, like fencing, gymnastics, and karate. And then of course you've got competitive games that you play, like golf and ice hockey. It's incredible how those 3 little verbs, play, go, and do, cover every single sport here. This last group really drives home the global reach of sports. I mean, you've got the ancient Japanese martial art of sumo, which you do, all the way to the modern beach culture of surfing, which of course you go. And then you have these hugely popular team sports like tennis, rugby, and volleyball, all of which you play. With this one simple framework, you can now walk into almost any sports conversation and feel right at home. So, the big question is, where do you go from here? Look, learning these rules is a fantastic first step, but real fluency, that deep confidence, that comes from practice. So let's build a really simple, effective training plan to help you take everything you've learned today and actually use it out in the real world. I want you to think of this as your personal playbook. We've gone over the strategies, we've learned the key moves. Now it's your turn to get off the sidelines and get in the game. Here is a straightforward 5-step plan that you can start using today to build on this foundation and really boost your English through the world of sports. Okay, here's how it works. Step 1. Figure out your current English level, just so you have a baseline to track how much you're improving. Step 2. Get in the habit of reading one sports article every single day. Step 3. Find a video or a podcast about that same news story and practice your active listening. This is so key for picking up new words and accents. Step 4. Don't just consume the content, interact with it. Write your own thoughts in the comment section. And finally, the most important step of all, find someone to talk to about sports. That's where the magic really happens and your skills will just skyrocket. You know, at the end of the day, a sport is so much more than just a game. It's a global conversation. It's a universal language of passion, of teamwork, of competition. And now you have the tools to be a real part of that conversation. You can connect with fans from every corner of the globe, sharing in the joy, the heartbreak, and the excitement that these games bring us. You are ready to join in, so let me ask you, what sport will you talk about first?
You are doing great. Don't stop. Subscribe and watch the next video.